What if the world you see right now isn't the world that truly exists? What if every moment of your life is filtered, shaped, and even rewritten by something inside you, something you've never been taught to control? Most people believe reality is fixed, solid, and unchanging. But Jacobo Grinberg, the Mexican scientist who disappeared under mysterious circumstances, spent his entire life proving the opposite. He believed reality bends, it moves, it responds, and the key to changing it lies in a hidden force within you, your inner clock, your personal frequency, your secret signature of energy. In this video, you're not just going to hear theories. You're going to explore ideas that most people have never encountered before, ideas Jacobo uncovered while studying shamans who could alter perception, break the rules of time, and access layers of reality that science still struggles to explain. These were not legend. Jacobo documented them, measured them, and risked everything to bring this knowledge to the world. Today, you'll discover why your inner clock is more powerful than the external world you think you're stuck in. You'll learn how your mind interacts with a massive field of energy, a field Jacobo called la red de información, the information network that creates everything you know. You'll uncover why your emotional state, your focus, and even the thoughts you repeat silently shape this field every single second, quietly sculpting the reality you experience. Most people never realize they are unconsciously tuning their inner frequency. They never understand why they attract the same patterns, the same challenges, the same emotional storms. But once you understand how your inner clock works, you can shift your energy. And when you shift your energy, your entire reality begins to rewrite itself. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Jacobo believed that time is not linear. He believed your inner clock can speed up, slow down, and even alter the events unfolding around you, because time is not something you move through. It's something your consciousness creates. In this video, you'll learn why your inner state is the architect of your world, how your personal energy frequency decides what opportunities you notice and which ones you miss, why a small internal shift can trigger massive changes in your outer reality, and you, the one thing Jacobo believed could unlock a new version of yourself, one capable of seeing reality as it truly is, not as you were taught to see it. Stay with this video until the end, because once you understand how your inner clock works, you will never look at your life the same way again. You will understand why nothing is random, why patterns repeat, and how consciousness quietly shapes everything. Welcome to Awakened Synchronicity. If you want more videos inspired by Jacobo Grinberg's hidden knowledge and the science of consciousness, make sure to subscribe and join our journey. Before we talk about the inner clock and the energy that shapes your reality, we need to talk about the man who dedicated his life to uncovering these mysteries, Jacobo Grinberg. He wasn't a guru, and he wasn't trying to create a religion. He was a neuroscientist, a consciousness researcher, a man who believed that the human mind held secrets far deeper than anything written in science books. Jacobo spent decades studying how the brain interacts with reality, not just through electrical signals, but through something far more subtle, something that connects us to a larger field of existence. He began his journey like any other scientist, exploring cognition, perception, and the mechanics of the human mind. But the more he researched, the more he realized that traditional science had limits. It could measure the brain, but it couldn't explain the strange phenomena he witnessed in people with extraordinary abilities. It couldn't explain how thoughts shape emotions, how emotions shape perception, or how some individuals could influence reality in ways that defied logic. Instead of ignoring these mysteries, Jacobo walked straight into them. What made him unique was his courage to blend science and spirituality. He believed the two were never meant to be separated. Science gave him tools, spirituality gave him direction. Together they formed a new lens, one that allowed him to study consciousness as both an energy and a structure. This led him to travel across Mexico, meeting shamans, healers, and individuals who operated on frequencies most people never experience. He didn't approach them with blind faith. He approached them with instruments, notebooks, and experiments. Jacobo's work revealed a simple truth. Reality is not just physical, it is energetic. And the brain is not just an organ, it is a bridge between the physical world and a vast field of information that surrounds us. Through his research, he began to see consciousness not as a byproduct of the brain, but as the architect of experience itself. His studies opened doors that few scientists dared to enter, showing that human potential is far greater and far stranger than we were ever taught to believe. Before we talk about how to shift your energy, we need to understand one of Jacobo Grinberg's most important discoveries. Reality is not something that exists only outside you. This idea may sound simple, but it changes everything. For most of your life, you've been taught that the world is fixed, separate and independent. You open your eyes and reality is already there. You touch something and it feels real. You hear a sound and you assume it comes from the outside. But Jacobo believed this is only half the truth. He proposed that what you call reality is actually a construction built moment after moment by your brain, your senses, and a deeper part of you that interacts with an invisible field of information. Jacobo used to say that the brain is not a passive receiver, it is an active creator. It doesn't just record what is happening, it interprets, filters, and blends the outer world with your inner world. That means your expectations, your memories, your emotional state, and even your subconscious beliefs are constantly shaping what you perceive. Two people may stand in the same place at the same time, looking at the same situation, but they will not experience the same reality. Why? Because each of them is interacting with the world through a unique inner lens. For Jacobo, this was not just philosophy. This was observable science. To explain this, he introduced one of his most revolutionary ideas, the synergy field. Imagine a continuous field of energy that surrounds everything, connects everything, and holds information about everything. It is like an ocean, but instead of water, it is made of pure potential, patterns, frequencies, possibilities. Your brain is not separate from this field, it is immersed in it, and just like a radio tunes into specific frequencies, your brain tunes into specific layers of this field. Whatever you tune into becomes your reality. Whatever you are not tuned into simply doesn't exist in your perception. This field, according to Jacobo, is not mystical or magical. It is the underlying fabric of existence, and every living being interacts with it. When your brain connects with this field, it doesn't take in everything. It selects, it organizes, it filters. That is why your experience of reality feels personal, because it is. You are not observing a world that is fully formed. You are participating in the construction of a world that is constantly being shaped by your consciousness. This is where the concept of your inner clock becomes crucial. Jacobo believed that every person emits a unique energetic frequency. This frequency acts like a rhythm, a personal pulse that aligns with certain parts of the synergy field and ignores others. Think of it as a type of internal timing system, constantly sending signals into the field and receiving signals back. This inner clock influences how fast or slow life feels to you, how chaotic or peaceful your world appears, and what kind of events seem to find their way into your path. If your inner clock is aligned, reality feels fluid, meaningful, and supportive. Opportunities appear. Solutions come easier. You feel connected. But when your inner clock is disrupted by stress, fear, trauma, or confusion, your connection to the field becomes chaotic. You start tuning into the wrong frequencies. You see threats where there are none. You feel blocked even when there is an open path. You miss signals, synchronicities, and intuition because your inner rhythm is out of balance. Jacobo explained that this inner clock is not metaphorical. It is a real energetic mechanism, driven by your emotions, your thoughts, and the quality of your attention. When your attention is scattered, your inner clock becomes fragmented. When your emotions are unstable, your inner clock becomes noisy. And when you live in fear or uncertainty, your clock slows down or freezes, creating the feeling of being stuck in repeating patterns. But here is where Jacobo's work becomes even more powerful. When you shift your inner energy, your perception changes. This is not imagination. This is not wishful thinking. This is the direct effect of tuning into different parts of the synergy field. When your inner frequency rises, you tune into clearer, more coherent patterns in the field. Colors look brighter, sounds feel sharper, people's intentions become easier to read. Solutions become visible where before there were only problems. Your mind becomes still enough to access information that was previously hidden from your awareness. Jacobo observed this repeatedly in his experiments with shamans and healers. When they shifted their internal state through intention, breath, or mental focus, their perception expanded. They could describe things happening far away. They could sense emotions without seeing facial expressions. They could detect changes in energy that normal instruments couldn't measure. Their brains were tuning into parts of the field that ordinary people could not access. But here is the part most people overlook. This ability is not limited to shamans. It exists in you. It exists in everyone. Jacobo believed that humans are born with the potential to navigate multiple layers of reality. The problem is that modern life disconnects you from your own inner clock. Stress weakens your frequency. Social conditioning limits your perception. Trauma freezes your inner rhythm. And the noise of everyday life drowns out the subtle signals of the field. Yet, when you calm the mind, when you center your attention, when you elevate your emotional state, something remarkable happens. Your brain begins to tune differently. You start receiving information that was always there, but previously unreachable. You begin to experience synchronicities. You notice repeating patterns. You feel guided. You sense connections between events. These are not coincidences. They are signs that your inner clock is synchronizing with the field. As your frequency shifts, your perception expands. And as your perception expands, your reality transforms. You begin to understand that things aren't happening to you. They're happening with you. Life becomes less random and more responsive. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstances and start feeling like a participant in creation. You begin to see that reality is elastic, flexible, and deeply intertwined with your consciousness. Jacobo believed that the frontier of human evolution is not technological, it is perceptual. It is the ability to consciously tune your inner clock to the frequencies that hold clarity, harmony, and expanded awareness. When you learn to shift your energy deliberately, you unlock the potential to rewrite the way you experience the world, not by controlling the outside, but by transforming the inside. And when that inner shift happens, everything around you begins to change. You see differently. You think differently. You feel differently. You feel differently. You respond differently. And slowly the world reshapes itself to match the new frequency you are broadcasting. This is how reality becomes a mirror of your inner state. This is how consciousness interacts with the field. This is how your personal energy rewrites your personal universe. Your inner clock is not just a concept. It is the hidden engine behind your entire experience of life. And once you learn how to tune it, reality itself begins to open. Where you place your attention determines what reality you experience. Jacobo Grinberg often emphasized that attention is not just a passive act. It is the tool through which your brain tunes into the frequencies of the synergy field. Think of your consciousness as a radio. The frequency you are tuned to will determine the signals you receive. If your attention is scattered, your inner clock becomes erratic, and the field responds with noise, confusion, and misalignment. But when your attention is focused, your frequency stabilizes, and you begin to receive coherent information from the field. Your inner state, the emotions you feel, the thoughts you nurture, the intentions you hold, shapes the channels you are open to. Attention and alignment are inseparable. They are the bridge between your mind and the larger energy field that constructs your experience of reality. Every time you deliberately shift your focus, you recalibrate your inner clock and subtly transform the world around you. Jacobo spent years traveling across Mexico, engaging with shamans and healers who had mastered this process. His fieldwork revealed astonishing insights into human consciousness. Shamans, through their training, were able to deliberately shift their inner energy, expand their perception, and access realities that ordinary people couldn't perceive. They could sense distant events, understand hidden truths about people, and manipulate energetic patterns to create desired outcomes. Jacobo meticulously documented these phenomena, seeking to understand the mechanics behind them. The shaman's abilities were not magic. They were practical demonstrations of how consciousness interacts with the energy field. They showed that ancient practices, meditation, ritual, and intention were all methods to train the mind to perceive new layers of reality. By studying them, Jacobo discovered that the potential to tune into these subtle frequencies exists in everyone. It is a skill that can be cultivated, refined, and deliberately applied. However, accessing these frequencies requires overcoming negative states that distort your inner clock. Fear, trauma, doubt, and stress are not just psychological experiences, they are energetic disruptions. Jacobo described them as static on your inner clock. When you are consumed by fear, your frequency lowers and the field delivers experiences that reinforce that state. You attract events, interactions, and patterns that reflect the inner turbulence you carry. Self-doubt acts like a fog, preventing you from tuning into higher, clearer frequencies. Even subtle negative emotions, when repeated over time, can trap you in cycles of limitation, making it nearly impossible to perceive opportunities and synchronicities. Jacobo emphasized that understanding these internal blocks is crucial. Only by identifying the negative patterns that distort your inner frequency can you begin to shift your experience of reality. The first practical step, according to Jacobo, is awareness. Awareness is the foundation for any transformation of the inner clock. It begins with noticing your internal state without judgment, observing your thoughts, emotions, and energy patterns. By simply becoming aware of where your attention is focused, you create the possibility to change. Awareness is like a tuning fork. It sets the stage for recalibration. When you recognize that fear, frustration, or distraction is influencing your frequency, you can consciously redirect your focus. You can choose to stabilize your energy, lift your frequency, and align your inner clock with the patterns of the field that support growth, clarity, and harmony. This step may seem small, but it is profoundly powerful. By observing your internal state, you gain the ability to shift it, and when your inner energy shifts, everything you perceive in your life shifts with it. Jacobo often compared this process to learning to listen carefully to subtle signals. Just as a novice musician may struggle to hear individual notes, most people are unaware of the energetic messages flowing through their consciousness. By cultivating awareness, you begin to notice the quality of your thoughts, the rhythm of your emotions, and the subtle currents of energy within you. Each observation is a calibration, each moment of attention a slight adjustment to the inner clock. Over time, these small adjustments accumulate, producing significant changes in how you perceive, react, and experience life. Awareness creates clarity. It reduces noise, it restores alignment. And in restoring alignment, you reconnect with the natural flow of the synergy field, opening yourself to experiences, insights, and possibilities that were previously inaccessible. Beyond mere observation, awareness also empowers intention. Once you know where your attention drifts, you can consciously choose to focus it where it matters. Jacobo explained that intention is like the conductor of the inner orchestra. Without awareness, intention is weak, scattered, and ineffective. With awareness, it becomes precise, purposeful, and powerful. When attention and intention are combined, your inner clock begins to resonate at higher frequencies. You start tuning into events, relationships, and opportunities that match your new frequency. Life itself begins to feel more responsive. Patterns of limitation begin to dissolve. You sense possibilities that were invisible before. This alignment between attention, intention, and inner energy forms the core of Jacobo's approach to consciousness. Jacobo also noted that awareness is not a passive state, it is an active engagement with the present. It requires curiosity, observation, and willingness to confront internal truths. Many people avoid this process because it can reveal uncomfortable realities, negative emotions, limiting beliefs, and unresolved trauma. Yet Jacobo insisted that facing these truths is essential. Only by observing the distortions in your inner clock can you begin to correct them. He often described this process as cleaning a lens. Until the lens is clear, reality appears blurry and distorted. Awareness polishes that lens, allowing you to perceive the field as it truly is, rather than through the fog of internal disturbances. Each moment of mindful attention fine-tunes your inner clock, improving the quality of your perception and the harmony of your interaction with reality. The insights from shamans, combined with Jacobo's scientific approach, reveal a powerful truth. Human consciousness is both fragile and extraordinarily adaptable. Negative states act as barriers, but awareness is the key that unlocks potential. Jacobo's studies demonstrated that when individuals intentionally shift their internal state, even for a brief moment, the change propagates through the synergy field. This creates a ripple effect, subtly influencing perception, intuition, and external circumstances. Repeated practice strengthens this effect. By consistently observing, calibrating, and aligning your inner clock, you cultivate a steady, coherent frequency that interacts with reality in a more harmonious and creative way. In other words, you begin to consciously co-create your experience rather than being unconsciously shaped by it. Jacobo emphasized that this process is not mystical or unattainable. It is practical, measurable, and experiential. It begins with the simple act of noticing where your mind and energy are at any given moment. From there, you can identify patterns that distort your frequency, such as persistent fear, doubt, or anger. By observing these patterns, you create the opportunity to shift them. Through deliberate attention, you can replace dissonant frequencies with more coherent, aligned ones. The energy you cultivate internally then radiates outward, tuning your perception, enhancing intuition, and reshaping your experience of life. This is the essence of Jacobo Grinberg's teaching. Awareness is the doorway, attention is the mechanism, and alignment is the pathway to a reality that responds to the clarity and coherence of your inner clock. When you practice this consistently, you begin to notice subtle signs. Decisions feel easier, relationships flow more naturally, and opportunities appear at precisely the right moment. Your inner frequency acts like a magnet, drawing experiences and people that resonate with your state of consciousness. Jacobo's research showed that individuals who cultivate awareness and alignment not only perceive reality differently, they interact with it differently. Their presence alters the energy around them. They are more attuned, more responsive, and more creative. Every thought, every intention, every emotional shift sends ripples through the synergy field, continuously shaping and reshaping the reality they experience. This is why Jacobo stressed that transformation starts from the inside. External circumstances are secondary. The primary force is your internal state. By observing yourself, recognizing negative patterns, and intentionally calibrating your inner clock, you take control of the energetic foundation of your reality. Awareness becomes a practice, attention becomes a tool, and alignment becomes the result. And as your inner frequency stabilizes and rises, the distortions caused by fear, doubt, and trauma fade away. You experience clarity, coherence, and resonance with the world around you. This is the practical power of the human mind. And Jacobo's work proves that mastering your inner state is the key to rewriting the reality you live in. As we've seen, your inner clock is far more than a concept. It is the rhythm that shapes your experience of reality. Jacobo Grinberg showed us that consciousness is not just observing the world, it is actively creating it. Every thought you hold, every emotion you feel, and every focus of attention subtly tunes your frequency, influencing how the world unfolds around you. By becoming aware of your internal state, by noticing negative patterns, and by intentionally aligning your energy, you hold the power to shift your perception, elevate your life, and unlock possibilities that once seemed out of reach. Your reality is not fixed. It responds to the energy you radiate. Fear, doubt, and stress may create static, but awareness, focus, and alignment allow you to tune into higher frequencies. The lessons from shamans combined with Jacobo's groundbreaking research prove that you can consciously co-create your experience. Your inner clock is your tool, and your attention is the key. When you use them wisely, your life begins to reflect the harmony, clarity, and abundance that already exist within you. If this video helped you understand the hidden power of your consciousness and inspired you to explore your inner clock, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Awaken Synchronicity. For more insights inspired by Jacobo Grinberg and the science of consciousness, unlock your energy. Shift your perception and start rewriting your reality today.